Welcome to Where There's a Will.
There's a play.
I'm Ian, your Make a Bucksy casual gamer.
I'm Stacey. I am your non-gamer gamer.
And today we are here with another initial impressions, this time for Finspan from Stonemaier Games. Designed by David Yordit and Michael O'Connell. Plays 1 to 5 players in 45 to 60 minutes.
In Finspan, you are a marine researcher seeking to find and observe an array of aquatic life in the colorful sunlight zone, ghostly twilight zone, and pitch black midnight zone of the world's seas and oceans.
So I think the theme of this game comes through greatly in the fact that you are diving down regions, which we will look at in just a minute, and you are exploring and you're looking for different fish through the different zones. So I think the theme shines in this one. What are your thoughts on it?
I think it's A-OK. I like it. I mean, it's obvious of what the game is when you go through everything and you see the different aspects of the game. I think everything that coordinates with the game, or not coordinates, I'm sorry, everything that comes with the game has its purpose and is marine and fish related. I like how everything meshes together.
Nice. Yeah. All right. We'll take a look at some things with that in a little bit, but yeah, the theme shines greatly through in this one.
Ooh, components.
All right.
So, for components, I always like to start with the rule book. The rule book is high quality paper, which is always a bonus if you are a rule book. Go back to it and look at it. It won't, get damaged very easily, no matter how much you handle it. I think it's gonna last quite a while. It's very well organized. It explains everything very well. I don't think we had to go back and visit it when we played it because it did explain everything so well. It
Yeah,
talks,
no, we
yeah,
read through it and yeah.
yeah, it talks about what to do on each turn. It talks about what each card does. It talks about how to make your fish hatch. Talks about all of the tokens are individually. Talks about what to do at the end of each week. And then it explains about how they went about making this game, which I found really cool as well. But I love, I mean, this is only the second Stonemaier game that I played, and from both of these, I think that one of their shining things in their game is their rule book and how well it is organized. You don't have to sit there and flip back and forth and look for stuff. It's it's one of my favorite companies for rule books.
Yeah, I agree. Speaking of the rule book, Jamie was asked on a recent live stream, like they said they loved the material of the rule book, which I do as well. I think this material is great. And he was asked how he chose that, and I think he said that Panda, their their company that makes their stuff, sent them just a bunch of different samples of materials they could use, which I didn't even realize there were that many materials. And he literally just kind of felt them with his eyes closed, and he went the one that he thought felt the best. And it's a great quality.
Yeah.
Great quality, great rule book as always with Stonemaier laid out nicely.
And I will move on to the game board. Each player has their own game board that they are trying to advance their cards on and their little meeples. So there's not one central board that you're going to be using. Each player is going to do everything, and that's where each person's going to get their points from. Next is the meeple. I think they're pretty darn cute. They're little scuba divers. There we go. You can kind of see it. Little scuba diver meeple. That's what you will use to move throughout the board. For each turn takes 6 turns. So there's 6 meeples. And then we've got our achievement board. Week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4 talks about the scoring. You're going to score at the end of each week, and then in the end of game scoring, you're going to use your little marker here to keep track of what week you're in. Very high quality. Look, I don't know where the camera is on this, but look how fat that little bugger is.
Oh, that's not going to show up. That's not going to show up. Oh, look, the fish are showing up. This ain't going to show because we're small.
Yeah.
So it's really chunky though. So
yeah, it's very chunky. And then we will move on to, these are our starting cards. Each player will pick 2 starting cards that you'll play with. And then on this achievement, there is a side B that you can use your own.
So there's some extra achievements. So the side A is the one they suggest playing with a any new players, but then side B you can put in whatever achievements you have, and these are two-sided. So there's a bunch of different things, a bunch of different achievements. Like with any of the span games and the achievements, there's always a lot of things you can choose. So that's nice.
This is really good quality cardboard as well. We talked about that. We will talk about the eggs. Those eggs are, take one out and squish. It's not
And
as
this is gonna
squishy.
disappear.
Yeah, it's not as
it's
squishy, but this is the upgraded version of the game. So in the other, in the standard game, you have a two-sided. There you go,
here are your
two-sided. So here's your
tokens.
tokens. Then you've got your fish and your spools and your eggs.
Yeah.
So even those are decent
Yeah, these are
quality
good
as well.
quality. Yeah, but I did
Yes.
buy the upgraded tokens.
Yes, and with these eggs, this dish does not come with the game. That is one that Ian purchased separately. So again, that is just the eggs. The dish does not come with the game.
It is a Stonemaier product though.
Mhm.
This they have a tray pack available of some of their trays. And so I just happened to get this one and I was like, that works perfectly for the eggs, so we don't have to put them all in here with the upgraded fish.
And then we'll move over here. These are going to be the cards that you're going to be drawing from. I believe there's 122 or 24 of them. And then your upgraded fish and your spool of fish, if I can grab one.
Yep, your young? Is that what they're young?
Young
We
fish.
just played a couple times. I cannot remember.
You can't see
Like
them over on there.
no, the green,
Yellow
the
is
yellow
green.
one can't see. There we go. So your single ones, and then your what do they call it? Is on the what do they call it? The young. Okay, young in the school, and then your eggs.
125 fish cards.
125 fish
Just for
cards.
clarification on that. And then this tray does come with it as well, doesn't it? Or did you purchase
No,
that?
this tray comes with
This
it.
tray comes with it. And because there are 125 cards, each there's a lot to choose from. I
Yep.
mean, when you're going through, and I believe I already mentioned these,
The starter
but these are
trays.
your starter cards, and I can't remember how many there are, but each player starts with 2. No matter how many players are playing the game, you still start with your 2.
And then you have your you have your
Oh, yes.
two-sided player aids over here. One side is the fish card anatomy, so you can remember what everything is. The other side is the ability iconography. I actually said it correctly. I can never say that word correctly. So those are some nice big ones. With 2 players, we played side by side. We just had this in between us, one of each.
Yeah, I
So that
reference
was
those a lot.
yeah. This one early on, like if you play it more and more, I think the icons will become very um clear. But I do believe early on it's okay. What is that? Okay, that's what that one is. Okay,
Yes.
and that's all the components. Yes, it
That's
is.
all of them.
Yes, it is. On to Stacy's favorite part, the artwork.
I love the artwork on this. Each one you can tell has been carefully drawn to match the exact species of which it's supposed to be. Um, it talks about on the cards, it does give some facts about it at the bottom. So, once again, if you know me, I love learning facts about anything. So, the more that I can learn about these, the better. Um, I just absolutely love these. The colorful, bright ones are normally found at the surface at the top. The dark, scary ones are normally down here at the bottom. Uh, oh my goodness.
So yeah, the fish cards are great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here's just a few more that I picked out that I think really highlight some really cool things. Yeah, I grabbed a whole bunch here just to highlight them. And then the leafy sea dragon.
I love the leafy sea dragon.
And then we have
That's
our
my goal.
player board. And the player board, this is where the theme really comes through because you're going through your sunlight, your twilight, and your midnight zones. which we'll talk about a little bit later. But then you can see this is lighter because this is higher up. And as you go down, it gets darker. It gets kind of creepier looking, a little scarier looking. You've got your estuaries and you got your very deep down here. Then you got the nice peaceful above the water. So yeah, this artwork is amazing. And then if you flip it over, you can see a couple of them. You flip it over, it actually will make the entire world. There's 5 total mats. So here we just happen to have the ones that make North America and South America. So, but if you take all 5 of them, they do combine to make the world. So I think that is a nice little
Yeah.
touch on the art.
A lot of thought has been put into the design and the artwork of this, and for that I really appreciate
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Jamie always does a really good job at finding really good artists, and the artists do a great job for Stonemaier games in really getting the details and like just the details in them. I mean, you could have drawn this not very detailed, but the details in this coral and everything, and as you're going down, you can kind of see stuff. I don't know how well it's showing up on the camera, but there's just some stuff kind of in the background here that makes it even kind of creepier. Like you're like, what fish is down here hiding? So
I don't want to go down there.
no, artwork as always in Stonemaier games is top notch. On to the setup. So the setup for this is fairly simple. Each player gets a player mat. Each player gets their 6 diver meeples. Each player gets 2 of these starter fish and puts them to the left of their board. Each player then gets 3 of the random other fish. That is the player setup. Each player gets a player aid, and then for the global setup, you just place the eggs, the fish, and the schoolfish, the decks of cards within reach, and then the achievement, and you put it your achievement board, and you put your thing on side 1. And then one final thing is you have 3 spots on your board. You put a fish there, you put a young there, and you put an egg there and an egg there, and those start on the board. You'll see there are 3 fish pre-printed on the board as well. Those give you some abilities as you play, which we'll talk about during the gameplay. But the setup of this game is very simple. That's it. Moving on to a quick overview of the gameplay. So during the game, you are going to be taking one of 2 actions. You are either going to be placing your diver meeple over here into this little area, and you're going to be placing a fish onto your board. When you place a fish on your board, you need to pay a cost. So in the upper left-hand corner of your fish, there is a cost. So this fish would take 2 other cards that you discard. So if I wanted to play this fish, it can be played into either the sunlight or the Twilight Zone. So I've got a fish in the Twilight Zone here. I don't have any fish in either of these zones up here, so I'm going to place this here. And then I would have to discard 2 cards. So I would have to discard 2 cards. Now, the unique thing about this game, and this one is made to be a little bit more friendly, is when you discard the cards, you discard them into your personal discard pile because there are times where you can get those cards back. So that is playing a fish. You place your meeple here, you place the fish where you want to place it, and then you pay its cost. The one other thing is some of the fish have that is probably not a good choice because that one's got green on the side. See if you can find me one that is purple or blue. So some of the fish have, you can kind of see down here, a color on the side of their card. Those fish can only be played in those zones. So you can see that one's a blue and this is a purple. So you have the green, the purple, and the blue zones. And then here's a green card, which you can see down here. Okay. So those can only be played in those zones. So after you've played some fish out, so let's say I have some fish here. Some of them that don't have anything, they can be played anywhere. So after I have some fish on my board, let's put this in the Twilight over here. One of the other actions I can do is dive a site. Now, in Finspan, this is different than Wingspan and Wormspan, where you only go as far as you have birds or you've explored the caves. In Finspan, you will dive the entire site. So if I were to dive the blue site, if I have a fish in this section, in the sunlight zone,
Mhm.
I would get to get a card. So I would get to take a card. Okay.
Twilight Zone, I'm sorry.
No, this is twilight.
Oh,
Sunlight's first,
sunlight.
right?
Oh, yeah.
Sunlight, twilight, and midnight.
Yep.
So in the sunlight zone. So if I have something in the sunlight zone, this says if you have a fish here, you get to take a card. Then I go step by step, and I go to each step along the way. These all had when played uh, abilities on them. Then I get down here. I do not have a fish in the twilight zone of the blue zone, so I don't get to do anything. I get down here. I have a pre-printed fish, so I get another fish card. So this is where you can get some good fish cards. Then I get all the way down to the bottom, and let's say that I had something discarded over here. This icon down here tells me that I can grab a card back out of my discard pile. So the first time you dive this site, that is not on the screen. The first time you dive the blue site, you get to use this ability and you get to get a card out. The purple and the green are very similar, except for in this site, you have eggs that you're getting. So if I have something in the um, sunlight zone, I get an egg. If I have something in the twilight zone, I get an egg. If I have something in the midnight zone, I get an egg. And then the one-time use ability per round. So the first time you dive it in a round, you get an egg. Over here, in the green zone is where you are hatching eggs. So here, I could hatch this egg into a young. Because I do have a fish in this zone. Down here, I get hatch another egg. Down here, so like, let me move a diver down here. So I've hatched an egg. I move down, nothing there. I hatch another egg. This one says when activated, I get to hatch an egg. So this allows me to hatch an egg as well. So I've got lots of times to hatch eggs. Here, I don't have any fish here. So I can't use this ability, which would be to move fish together. But down here, my one-time use is I can move a fish. So I'm going to move this fish. The reason you're moving fish is when you get 3 youth on a single space, whether it's has a fish or doesn't, you become a school of fish. This is important because at the end of the game, youth are worth 1 point, but a school of fish is worth 6 points. So that is diving the sites and then moving your fish around as well and collecting resources. At the end of each round or week, you have a scoring thing. So on the side A, at the end of week 1, every fish, every youth, and every egg is worth 1 point. At the end of week 2, you get 2 points for every row of fish that you have. At the end of week 3, you get 2 points for every school of fish. At week 4, you would activate all of your yellow game end scoring abilities. So that if you have some game end abilities that are scoring, that one's not scoring though. That one's got fish. You would activate it, but there are some that you score points on. No.
Oh, for Pete's sake, just keep talking. I'll find
Okay,
it.
so there are some that have scoring, so you would get that. That would be your week 4 scoring. Yeah. So like this one right here gives you 10 points if you have consumed 3 fish below this one. So when you consume fish, you can consume fish by placing a larger fish on top of a smaller one. And you can stack those up. Consume fish at the end of the game are worth 1 point. This one needs 3 fish below it. So you need to have consumed a lot before you can do this. You can see the cost of this one is also to consume a fish. So this one has to go on a fish in order to consume it. So I could pay that one there. Um, there are a lot of, we're not going to go into all of the different abilities and different things that you can do in the game, but that is the basic play. You either play one of your diver meeples here to play a fish. You play it in a column to dive that site. You get some bonuses in each zone. If you have fish in them, you get a one-time bonus per round the first time you dive a site at the bottom. At the end of each week, you get some scoring bonuses, and at the end of the game, you also score. So there's the basics of the gameplay of Finspan. Replayability. Let's go big again here.
So, for replayability, I think that there's a lot of replayability because there are 125 different fish that you can choose from. You're never going to play them in the same order twice. You're never going to have the same exact fish multiple times. So you're going each time you play it, you're gonna have a different way of being able to complete it. And then with the other side of the board where you can
Your
place
achievements.
your achievements on the different board, that even gives it even more replayability. So you only play 3 of those at a time. They're each double-sided. So
There's 9 of these, so there's 18 different sides you can use to your thing.
so I think every time you play it's going to be a unique game that you're going to be playing. I personally think.
I agree. With so many different cards, and once you start using your
Yeah,
this side of the achievement board, once you start using this side, see, our washer just stopped, and I'm done.
scary
It's scary.
situation.
So, once you start using this side of the achievement board, and you can place these different things in there, I mean, that's you got so much variability in the scoring and the way the fish come out.
Mhm.
So this one's got a lot of replayability, just like Wingspan and Wormspan do because of those aspects of the game. Final thoughts.
That oh, Sika said he liked it a lot, and at first I did not like this game the first time because I thought that you had to play your columns, your fish in a column, which you do not have to do. After figured out what I was supposed to be doing and I actually listened to the rules a little bit better and had them explained to me, um, when I learned that you can just place your fish, which seems a lot easier than having to place them in a certain order on your board, then I enjoyed the game. Then I could figure out what fish was eating what fish and how to stack them on top of each other to earn more points. How to get your fish moving about so that you can turn them into schools of fish eventually. I think this would be a good family game. I don't know what the age is on this, probably 8 and up or something.
10 and up.
10 and up. I think it's a family friendly game. I like it because once you discard a card, you can actually earn that card back. So if you have a card that is an end game only card, you can keep that in your discards and try and get it back at the end. Um, so if you know that you have to spend cards to use a card, just keep putting that and earning it back multiple times so that you can keep it in your hand.
That is a big strategy in this one is those game end bonuses that score stuff. You don't need those on your board early in the game. So being able to use that card to discard that okay, I can get it back later, especially if you have cards out on your board that give you extra time. Like I had an engine going one time where I was able to get an extra card back out of my graveyard, so to speak, out of your discard pile. So I was able to get cards out. Now I kind of slow played something and realized that late in the game that I was going to have to take 3 turns in order to score something, and it wasn't going to be worth it. But I agree. I think just like Wingspan and Wormspan. So I've played all 3 of these. I've played both of them solo on the tabletop, and I've played Wingspan on the app and on Board Game Arena. So I've played all 3 of these games. This is Stacey's first span game, because not normally the type of game she would like.
But that was one of my New Year's resolutions was
Yes,
to play a new kind of game.
and I knew the fish theme would draw her in a little bit on it and stuff. Um, this is my second favorite span game. Um, I love Wormspan. I love the crunchiness of Wormspan. I love the solo mode in Wormspan. I like Wingspan, but it's not one that once I got Wormspan, I'm going to get to the table for solo probably. And Finspan, I felt was going to be the one that Stacey and I could play together. So this is my second favorite span game. I really enjoy this. I love the changes that this game has from both Wingspan and Wormspan, where you are diving an entire site. I love the discard pile where you can get those cards back. I think that's a really cool mechanism that they're doing. So I love this game. I think this is going to be a game that Stacey and I play quite often. We'll get it out and probably play a couple games when we get it out. And so I really enjoy this one. This one definitely is a hit for me. Just the differences between Wingspan, Wormspan, and Finspan. I like what they did with this one. Like I said, I love the fact that you dive the whole site and you get rewards as you go down
Mhm.
if you have those fish. So like playing up, like I need to get a fish in as many different columns in as many different zones so that when I dive that zone, I'm getting maximum benefits from it. I do like a game that you can build an engine and be like, okay, if I do all this, this is really good. Stacey had a really good one actually in her first game in the green zone, where she had a lot of stuff where she was able to hatch eggs and then lay more eggs and then hatch more eggs and move the eggs and it was, I mean, it was like when she went down it near in that last round, she was like hatching. Okay, I can hatch this, then I can move these, and then I can lay more, and then I can hatch more. And so it was really good. So I like this type of game to begin with. Like I said, this is my second favorite span game behind Wormspan. I just like the crunchiness of Wormspan, and I love the solo mode in it. I've not had a chance to play this solo. I probably will at some point, but I've got Wormspan for solo as well. So this game will probably come up mostly for 2 player. Um, and when we have it out at some time, I will probably play a solo game of it as well, just to play it solo. But if I'm going to get a solo game out, it's probably going to be Worms. I love this game. Um, this was another hit, and I love the fact that it's one that we can play together.
Mhm.
So,
And I do like that the cards are educational
yep,
with their little fact set. And there's a lot of research that's gone into like the facts of each of these fish.
yeah.
So I really appreciate that because I am a learner. I'm a forever learner. So just fish I've never heard of and reading about them. Whew, lots of education going on here, kids.
I like the fact that your resources are your cards,
Mm-hmm.
and then like your fish and your eggs that are on your board. You don't have any external resources. So when they said that this was supposed to be a more friendlier game, more family friendly game, a lighter game, it definitely is because you don't have to deal with, okay, what extra resources do I have? I have cards. I have eggs that I can lay, and I have young that I can hatch from eggs. So everything that you need to spend in order to play your cards are things that you can earn in the 3 columns. You don't have anything extra to the side, so I really like that as well. So this one gets 2 thumbs up for me.
Yeah, 2 thumbs up.
All right.
I like it. The only problem I had with it was getting cards. Ian had like 13 cards on one side and 10 in his discard, and I had 0 cards. I was like, how in the heck is this going on?
We did have
But
some imbalance between like she had a lot of in the first game, all the cards he was getting was like when played, and all of
mhm,
mine were when activated. So then I had an engine going in my blue column, which gives you cards. I was like, okay, I've got fish in all 3 zones. So that was an automatic card. And then I had other cards like, oh, get another card. Oh, get another card. So I always had all these cards, which sometimes is good, sometimes is not good.
yeah,
So both of our games were very, very close, which is good because this is the type of game that Stacey has not really played a whole lot of with the engine building and understanding like, oh, I need to like get these things in this order and stuff. So I thought it went really well with our game. So
yeah.
yep,
After I figured it out,
yeah,
I liked it a lot more.
good.
As with most games, once I
Hey,
figured it out.
well, that's usually how it is. Once you figure it out, it usually takes a few games before you can
hmm
play 'em.
But I like it. I like it a lot.
So let us know if you've played Finspan, what your thoughts on it of it are. How do you like it compared to Wingspan and Wormspan if you've played those as well? What changes do you like? What changes do you dislike? What do you wish it had? I know as the day we're filming this, I saw on Instagram that Jamie is already playtesting the first possible expansion for this
Oh,
um this weekend. So he posted that he was playtesting some expansion stuff on Instagram. So that should be interesting to see what they do. I know they've got a lot of ideas of how they can do that because they unlike Wingspan where they focused on certain parts of the world for each expansion, this has got fish and stuff from all over the world. So
mhm.
now when they do expansions, they kind of talk about, well, maybe we can go into sharks or other types of animals instead of just the fish. And there's some sharks in this, but the expansions for this I think could be really interesting because they might go into some different sort of things with it
Ooh.
with it. Yeah. So, all right. Let us know what you think of this game. Like I said, they have here no suggestions for light games that have this sort of mechanic that are also have a good theme, and you think we would like, let us know. Once again, this has been Where There's a Wills.
There's a play.
I'm Ian,
I'm Stacey
and we'll see you next time.
at the table.